him to speak. Because I sent the program to him now. Abonif, are you there? Hello? Kevin, are you hearing me?
I'm here. We're ready to stream now.
Okay, so please, Dr. Mr. Zibo is saying that
Yes, sir.
when Dr. Udo finishes her presentation, please call on Valentine Ozibo to be the first speaker, yeah?
Okay, sir. So we'll go ahead right now. Kevin, please, you have to be looking out for those to be admitted into the hall. I was doing that before, but I've taken my
No problem. No problem. I'm on it. Just go ahead now. You can begin.
Okay. Good evening.
I can also confirm that, please, sorry, Professor Bolaji Aluko is here as well. So after Mr. Zibo, you call on Professor Aluko. Thank you.
So, okay. Once you read the recording sound, go ahead. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. We welcome you to the Govt conference. Today, we are going to be looking at local government elections, opportunity to strengthen democracy at the grassroots. And we have in the house to discuss this His Excellency Peter Obi as our keynote speaker. And we also have other speakers to also discuss this with him. The other speakers on the lineup are Professor Pat Utomi, Mr. Valentine Ozibo, Professor Bolaji Aluko, Senator Shehu Sani, and Mr. Salvation Alibo. So I want to specially welcome everybody here present. We'll go on immediately to introduce the National Chairman of Govt to give his welcome address. Co-anchoring this program with me tonight is our brother and friend, Engineer Emmanuel Omo. Mr. Rampamsar, you can please give your opening address.
Thank you very much, Elder John Agbonifo. It's a pleasure to be here. And permit me to just go straight, and I'll be taking it slow and steady. If we don't learn from history, we are condemned to repeat it. Good evening, all, especially our keynote speaker, His Excellency, Mr. Gregory Peter Obi, distinguished Senator Sani Shehu, Professor Valentine Ozibo, Mr. Femi Farotimi, Esquire, Professor Bolaji Aluko, Mr. Salvation Alibo, and of course our own Professor Pat Utomi. Our invited guests and the entire Govt family, the Board of Trustees here present. Good evening. The Coalition for Protection of Democracy, Govt, was founded about a year ago with the sole aim of defending democracy through all legally available means. You will agree with me that since 1999, Nigeria's democracy has been progressively degenerating, with each administration seemingly worse than the last. Today, corruption and impunity have not only become widespread, but are dangerously accepted as a norm in our Nigerian society. Those in power who have sworn to use our taxes and natural resources responsibly have been overtaken by greed and the thirst for power, to the point that they have become unrecognizable to us. In these 70 years since our independence, we have fallen from being the giants of Africa to possessing one of the weakest currencies in the world. though we have two of them. What a confusion. With bleak prospects for the future, though we have two national anthems, both of them old and new, neither can provide enough hope or inspiration for the masses. Our people struggle to breathe. Sorry, we have been Nepalized, so bear with us for a moment. Our people struggle to breathe in this suffocating environment, an environment where many Nigerians, plagued by insecurity from Ojota to Sambisa, and from Zamfara to Anochia, we have tragically turned to suicide, choosing it over the side of our families starving under the weight of hunger and excessive taxation. Despite all this, Govt believes there is still hope. Governance has now shifted to the local government level. And since bad governance is largely responsible for our wars, we have it as a duty and a responsibility at that to vet, support, and guide those aspiring to be our local government chairmen and councillors. Secondly, today, Govt is embarking on a national drive to raise awareness about the dangers of vote buying, voter apathy. These two cancers have plagued the political process and have fastened the deterioration of our policy in general. These practices are far too costly for us to ignore. We no longer have the luxury of simply sitting down and complaining. We must act, and this action will require your support in terms of funding as well as your advice. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome you to the 2024 Govt Virtual Conference on Local Government Elections, an opportunity to strengthen democracy at the grassroots level. Thank you very much. Once again, I'm yours, Rampam Jr. Let's have a beautiful discuss.
That was very comprehensive. At this point, we want to acknowledge the candidates, aspirants, local government candidates, aspirants from a few states that are here present with us. For those that have already entered the meeting, I will just run down the states. If you are here, we will just identify yourself, your name, your local government, your state, the position you are vying for at the local government level, and of course, the political party on which platform you are contesting. I will take it from Anambra State. Do we have Anambra State representative here? Otherwise, we go to Kaduna State. Do we have Kaduna State present? Akwa Ibom. Sure, Akwa Ibom is present. Please, as I call your state, just unmute and speak. Akwa Ibom, I saw Mr. Isang here a while ago. Okay, Kanu. Ogun.
Mr. Bonifa, let me suggest, because we disabled the ability for people to simply unmute and speak. So can you may advise them also to raise their digital hand so that any of the co-hosts can then ask them to unmute.
That's fine, sir. So if I have all your state and you are here present, just raise your hands and we will unmute you and speak. I can see Akwa Ibom State up. Please just please unmute the man so that he can speak. The states that we have lined up is Anambra, okay, Kaduna, Kanu, Ogun, Wara, and Nasa. This here just indicates, so we'll allow you to speak one after the other.
Good evening. Okay, my name is Isa. Please, can you hear me? This place is noisy. Hello. Okay, good evening, sirs.
Good evening to you, Mr.
Yes, my name is Isang Udo Akaga from Akwa Ibom State, Eked local government. In the 2023 election, I contested for a House of Reps on the platform of Labour Party, Eked Esreke Ibon Anuna. And right now I am contesting for local government chairmanship, Eked local government, Akwa Ibom State, on the platform of no other party but the Obedient Party, Labour Party. I'm an estate surveyor and valuer by profession and a businessman. Thank you very much, Govt, for this opportunity. I think I don't finish.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Ison. You're right. We got that. Thank you very much. We also allow Udukoya to speak. Please unmute Udukoya so that he can introduce himself. Can you unmute Udukoya Oluwafemi Adeleke?
Udukoya, we have asked you to unmute. Please unmute yourself.
Mr. Udukoya, please unmute and speak. 2 minutes, please. Your name, your state, your local government, and the political party on which you are contesting the election. Quickly, 2 minutes. He has dropped his hand. So if we have the other states that have not spoken, Anambra, Kaduna, Kanu, Ogun, Plateau, Kwara, and Nasarawa, please, if you are here present, just indicate by raising up your hand. While we are waiting for them to do that presentation, we'll go straight to item number 4 on the agenda. I want to invite Dr. Cordelia Udo to give us a presentation on ensuring Nigeria gets better during our time. Dr. Cordelia, the mic is yours. Please unmute yourself and give your presentation.
It's my great pleasure to be here. Your Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, Chief Ozibo, Dr. Utumi, Honorable Chairman of Govt, Barrister Danny Lumba, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Cordelia Udo, an eye physician and surgeon in USA and a philanthropist, both in USA and in Nigeria, a member of the BOT for Govt. In 2022, many of us witnessed an anointed star in the image of Peter Obi arose for the masses of struggling Nigerians to rescue young people of Nigeria to a better country where jobs, food, good health care, better roads, electricity, water, and more will be in abundance. But the evils and the likes of tribalism, religion, corruption, and greed took that dream away. In 2022, hope was born. A group calling themselves the Obedience came alive. As Michelle Obama would say, hope is about to make a comeback. So Obedience, stand by and tall and get ready for the unfinished job you started. For Peter Obi remains one of the most qualified people ever to seek the office of the presidency of Nigeria. For no tribe, no religion, no section of Nigeria has a monopoly on what it means to rule Nigeria, especially to rein in transparency, fairness, equity, justice, and make Nigeria great again. With that renewed sense of hope, let us break the affirmative action of generational privileges of my turn that has crippled the economy and safety of Nigeria. Let us go to the grassroots, educate them, convince them that Nigeria also belongs to them all and should keep hope alive. Thank you. And in that, I guess I will come back during the fundraising. You gave me 3 minutes to talk. I think I made it less than 3 minutes. I will come back during the fundraising to make my pledge for the grassroots efforts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, man. That was also deep and very precise. We appreciate you, man. So at this point, we go to the keynote speakers while we are waiting for our keynote speaker. I want to invite Mr. Valentine Ozigbo to make his presentation in 15 minutes. Mr. Ozigbo, sir, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's such an honor, my pleasure to be here. I want to thank the team at Govt for many reasons. This is an interaction we're having since after the endorsement for my candidacy in Anambra governorship. So I want to use this opportunity to say a big thank you for that great honor. You can see I'm actually making this call from a very dark background, trying to make sure I participate in this. I'm in a very rural community and had to climb trees to find network to make this call. So I'm going to get away from video so it doesn't disrupt my delivery. Hopefully that will improve performance. I hope you don't mind. So we are here to talk about something I consider very important, and it's such an honor to be asked to speak where the likes of our revered P2B, Patu Tommy, Dele Faratimi, Aluko, Senator Sani and co are speaking. And so I thought it was even very good that I'm talking first among the key speakers, so that the small masquerades can get away with it, and then the big ones can come later. I will be listening and learning because this is such an important topic. It's about governance. It's about getting things right in Nigeria, getting things right in different states, and then, of course, the 774 local governments. I will leave everything about the legalities of what I can call independent, getting local government done right in Nigeria. We all know what has happened recently. I see that there are lawyers who are going to speak eventually, so they will let us quote all the relevant constitutions. What is important here for me is to deal with the common sense of it, the logic of it. Basically, what we consider the importance of this. How do we get it right? How do we choose the right candidates? How do we make sure we follow the right process? And how do we govern right? At the end of the day, it's all about changing our story for good. Nigeria's story is terrible. And the only way we can change that story, the starting point of changing that story, is political leadership. And it's leadership at the federal, at presidency level. There's also leadership at the state level. And also, even far more important, leadership at the local government. Because every ill that we deal with, whether it's education, healthcare, insecurity, and co, all happen at local government level. At what levels? So this is such an important conversation, particularly given the number of local governments that will be fielding elections in Nigeria that haven't done so earlier. And let's talk about the importance again. We all know that legitimate local government political leadership and administration are very essential for delivering the true dividends of democracy at the grassroots. So it's something that I shouldn't overemphasize. We all know the importance. But getting it right is where we have issues. Obviously, our governors in the time past have failed to actually accord this relevance because sometimes for selfish reasons. How do we now get it right now that the Supreme Court has so made it that we have to go through this channel? Getting it right means also choosing the right candidates. It means making sure you feel the right candidate in the right political party. It means following the right process. It also means governing right. Choosing the right candidate is where things must start. Most times, what people do is choose people who they think may be loyal to them. They fail to focus on what is most crucial. Finding people who have the right character, competence, capacity, compassion. If you fail in this task, every other thing you do going forward will fail. I tell people, whenever you are making a decision about recruiting leadership, just imagine if you're running your own personal business. If you want to hand over the estate of your family to somebody to lead it, to manage it, what are going to be those considerations? These are the things you look out for. What do people say about that person? The character of the individual is such an important consideration. Is it somebody who has the right level of emotional intelligence? Is it somebody who understands what it means to be compassionate, to show love? Because when you don't meet this very simple criteria, I can bet you're doomed as far as that leadership is concerned. And so this is where we need to start off, making sure we actually find the right candidates. And unfortunately, what governors do is just find stooges, people who will just do their bidding and be partner in the theft that they usually engage in. And that's very unfortunate. And then also, it's important that we also go through the right process. Most times, we actually get it wrong from the primary process. Primary process is where we actually should field candidates, select the candidate to be fielded. And that would mean that we have to go through a proper democratic process. Most times, primaries are hijacked because of people's interests, selfish interests, parochial interests. So how do you make sure that the candidate you're about to present is the candidate that the masses would want? There are simple ways, and this is why we need to change the paradigm. And that's why obedient movement is such an important platform, where we can actually decide who any party that will, of course, Labour Party, would field in our own case. But in the case of other parties, let them also try and put their best foot forward. Why this is important is when you don't field the right candidate and force through that candidate, it becomes an imposition. And guess what? You mess up the entire meaning of democracy, which is where people choose their leader and they in turn hold their leaders accountable. Until we get it right at this level, at the state level, at the national level, we're not going to get the issue of governance right. Recruitment of leadership is the starting point of getting it right. So getting the right person, the right party, and the right process is so crucial. We must tick all these boxes, even as we go through the journey. I can bet you what is already happening is a complete aberration. If you come to Anambra, for instance, and see what Governor Soludo is doing, is a complete sham. First and foremost, making sure you frustrate other parties from fielding candidates. So when you were looking for someone from Anambra, I wasn't surprised nobody has spoken yet, because we are hardly fielding any candidate. And we also have issues around. I will talk about Anambra at my conclusion. But I'm saying here that governors usually do this, and this is very sad. They, for whatever reason, feel threatened by getting the right person. But they rather put somebody, they will tie their hands, that will do their bidding. And that's why, in most cases, they don't even organize local government elections now until they are now forced to do so. So these are very crucial. Now, let's even go now to the issue of governance. And that's even the most important, another very important aspect. Governing at the local government level must follow after these recruitment processes. And what I advise governors to do is first to craft the right vision. not just your singular vision, your vision from you alone, a vision you sit down and design with the key stakeholders. Key stakeholders, including those at local government level, including those representing critical institutions, from the churches to the town unions to the market leaders to civil servants, civil society. When you have representative of this, and you design a properly crafted vision for the state, and then eventually when it gets to local government level, you do the same thing. Engage the local governments. We all know the key stakeholders. What do you need that must be done in this local government within this period of time? From the long term to the medium term to the short term. When you draft create this, choreograph this vision, and everybody buys into it, your job therefore becomes a CEO, where you inspire leadership from those at the grassroots level. What CEOs do is, first of all, surround themselves with competent people who, in this case, elected by the people, by the masses, not imposed, and then inspire them into action and actually work with them to deliver on the dividends of democracy and use to drive delivery. If you design a strategy, but I can be more specific. If you go to Onitsha, for instance, which has 2 local governments, Onitsha North and South, and we think that the best strategy, the best vision is to get Onitsha to be a true commercial hub, meaning designing the water system, improving on the broadband technology, looking at even the port system, looking at the road networks, looking at the healthcare and education institutions, but looking at also what the needs of other critical institutions like the churches and co are, and developing this. In turn, you will break it down into what the state would do, what local government would do as defined in the Constitution. And even when you need to come together to align resources and synergize together, you do so. And then you inspire and make sure they deliver this. And one critical element of this is to make sure, number one, you, the governor, you're the right candidate. You have the right level of emotional intelligence, and you're not there to steal. And you also make sure you inform them, check them, and ascertain that they're also not there to steal. Everybody now wants to be local government election because they check the amount of money that will be deployed in very local government, and everybody's running into it because they think that's an avenue to steal money. I hope there are people here in Labour Party will be different. And what I'm expecting is that we go in there and show that indeed the insecurity we've suffered in the past is now done with because we have effective local government administration. The healthcare and educational gaps that we had in the past, whether in the area of quality, relevance, or even affordability, all of these issues are now sorted. So these are the few, what I can call a common sense approach that we can adopt to make sure we get the issue of administration of local government right. There are a couple of other things that I'd like to share, but I don't want to overshoot my time in case there are also any intervention. I'm happy to take some questions. In the case of Anambra State, like I said before, things are not happening rightly here because the governor just wanted to put together a system that will enable him impose people he so wished by even introducing this ANSEC law, amending it, and making a total mess of it, where even the candidates of his own party are coming from very, very ridiculous process, not even through a proper primary process, because he is having an issue at the leadership level with his own party, ABGA. At this point, imagine where the national body has zero input now because he is at loggerhead with the national chairman of ABGA. Unfortunately, he has no option. Now he's trying to field people in 2 different parties, ABGA and Accord, so it's all a mess and frustrating, putting a timeline that made it impossible for others to field. I also am not quite impressed with what we've done so far from the Labour Party end, because on one hand, some people among us are saying we shouldn't field candidates. And I don't agree with that. I have come out publicly to say we should field candidates even while going to court to challenge the obnoxious, clauses within the in the act. So these are the issues I think I want to highlight at this point. And let me know about your time. May God bless you all. Thank you for listening.
Very much. We're actually within the given time. You did it very well. That time. So, thank you very much for you and your very educative insights. I also want to call on Professor Bolaji Aloko at this point to give his presentation in 15 minutes. Prof, sir, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here. This is my second time at speaking at COP-DEM event, invited, of course, by Daniel Anambra, who is a longtime friend that I don't believe we have met face-to-face yet, but we've been very good friends over the internet. But I do see here Pat Utomi. Pat, how are you? We've not seen since we were in Bellagio.
In Bellagio, yes.
Enjoying our time in Bellagio. I want to be sure that you know, all of you know, that my name is Bolaji Aluko. I am in the cabinet, the APC cabinet of Ekiti State, as the Commissioner for Infrastructure and Public Utilities. I've been in the APC cabinet since 2018. I've been a member of the Alliance for Democracy since 2003. I'm a complete supporter of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, who is the president of the country. Election has been done and won. I'm very aware that many of you on this forum are Labour Party members, but I am a Nigerian and a Democrat who understands that there will be people who have alternative parties, and they have every right to be unhappy about the results or to prepare for the next results of the next election. So that, and where they are in power or where they represent their people, they should represent those people well so that they are separated from all the others that they talk about. So I am happy to be here. I just want those who make contributions to understand that there are other people outside of the Labour Party. There are other people outside of the obedient movement at this forum. I think that was the invitation that was made to everybody. And so I just want people to understand that and be sensitive to it. My talk is about the local government situation in the country. To my mind, the local government level is the most important governance level in any given country. I lived in the United States for almost 35 years, lived in 4 different states, in 7 different cities over the period. The last place where I lived was in Maryland, and I never went to the capital city of Annapolis, but twice. All the time that 35 years that I lived in Maryland, my interaction was with the local government. The chair of the local government or the county was a professor like myself at Howard University, a professor of law. And he was reappointed, he was reelected 8 times every 2 years. That's how important local governance is, at least in the United States, which I recognize very well and which I want to also occur in Nigeria. Unfortunately, our 1999 constitution, which is not a popular constitution, which is an outgrowth of decrees of the military, which needs to be changed, has left the local government in a large number of ways to be an orphan of the country. So you have the federal government, very many statutes or many sections in the Constitution well laid out. You have the states, many statutes there well laid out. But outside of the listing of the 768 local governments and the 6 area councils of Abuja, most of the other statutes of the local government have been subsumed under the state, I am not a lawyer, but the lawyers always tell you that when certain issues are explicitly stated, point A and point B and not point C, it means that the original intent of the law was exactly that they did not want to prescribe too much for the local government. And because, again, as I will mention right now, many sections of that constitution puts the local government under the supervision of the states. It therefore behoves on each House of Assembly of the state to give its prominence or otherwise to the local government as it saw fit. And clearly, because the states in Nigeria are a mixed bag of states from the north to the south, clearly the local government in general local governments have suffered from that, what I would call constitutional incapacity, their constitutional incapacity. Now, we are in a situation where recently the Supreme Court made some judgments. And it has been falsely called given autonomy to the local governments. Nowhere in the ruling was there any statement about autonomy to the local governments. This is an implied situation. I will just highlight quickly that the Supreme Court ruled that the dissolution of democratically elected local councils and appointment of caretaker committees is illegal. One agrees with that. It declares there is a gross misconduct of the state of any of the state or any of its elected or appointed officials to dissolve democratically elected local council. I agree with that. It says that the orders are to take effect immediately. Well, that depends. What I do not agree with, and I know the intention of the Supreme Court, that it wants an effective and efficient local government council. But the Supreme Court cannot in itself rule against the Constitution itself. What it intends to do is good, but its ruling is flawed. It says that the allocation from FAC should be paid directly to democratically elected local government councils. That goes against many sections of Section 162 of the Constitution. It says that the state government was expressly prohibited from interfering with the local government allocations in whatever form or manner. That is against the Constitution. A state government, when they think of a state government, what is in their mind of many people is the state governor. The governor is not the state. The governor is not the state. A state government is the executive arm, the judicial arm, and the legislative arm. And if the state government has no business with the local government, then who does? And it goes against many of the sections of the Constitution. So the intent of the ruling is good, but the ruling is flawed, and it will simply cause a lot of problems in the state. I mean, I can read you, I've read the Constitution. There are 68 references to local government in the Constitution, 68. And any one of us can go into the Constitution, just do a search for local government and go from local government to local government highlight. And you will see all the things about local government, how it is expected to be considered under this House of Assembly, the fact that there should be a joint account between the state and the local government, and so on and on and on. What I had indicated to Daniel Lumba was the issue of that I was interested in the accountability of the local government in public. And when we talk about accountability, much of that has to do with the public revenue. Public revenue. That once they are, how do they get their money? How do they do their budgets? Who ensures that their budget is well done? At the end of each year, who do they account to? These are the things that we should require that the houses of assembly clearly demarcate. What are the divisions of labor between the federal government and the state, between the state and the local government? Those are what we should be looking at, and not try to create a uniquely Nigerian three-tier federal system. The Nigerian federal system should be two-tier, the federal government and the states, and the states should be allowed to ensure that local government exists as required in Section 3(6) of, Section 3(7) of the Constitution, democratically elected and also allocated money from the federal government in a manner in which the states have a say in the matter. I do not know about Anambra State. I do not know about any other state. In my state, I'm not saying that our relationship with the states, with the local government is perfect, but I know we have 16 local governments in my state. And recently we created 22 local council development areas. I was on the committee that set up the 22 local government council development areas. So we have 38 local government areas and council areas, and we know those 22 are what are called inchoate. If this law says that there's money is sent to the local government directly and they are only able to use it, many of the local governments will collapse. Because a number of the local governments are urban local governments, some of the others are what I would call rural local government, and there has been a lot of rural-urban migration. And you have situations where what we will call the urban local government have a lot of people, a lot of schools, a lot of health centers. In fact, some of the rural areas have a lot of kings, or what we call KBSs, who have to be paid for by the local government. Many of them will collapse because the revenue allocation formula is largely based on population and size of the local governments and not on any other sections. They will collapse. But in any case, we have set up, at least in my state, a council, a committee to review the Supreme Court ruling. I'm on that committee. Our attorney generals are all talking to each other. But I believe that out of this will come better accountability of the local governments, but it will not be as ruled by the Supreme Court. Let me stop there, and we'll later on hear any questions from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Local government of government to this competition.
Mr. Bonifo, your network is disappointing you, please. Let's call on the next speaker immediately. Professor Patrick Thomas, yeah? Professor Thomas, please, you can come in.
Okay, thank you so very much. Let me be sure I'm unmuted. Yeah, you can hear me, can you?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Oh, lovely. First, let me say a big thank you to the COPDEM team for putting this together. It is timely, above and beyond the fact that we had this recent Supreme Court judgment. I think that the principle of subsidiarity, of decentralization of government, should be on the rise to yeah, I hope you can hear me still.
Yes, sir.
All right, lovely. And the challenge of governance in our country has reached a point where any citizen that has good conscience and has commitment has to be searching deep into their being about how to make government work better for the people of Nigeria. Why does government exist, whether it is national or subnational, local government, federal, state? Government exists essentially to advance the well-being of the people who live in that area, ensure the security of life and property, first and foremost. That is the primary goal of a Leviathan. And then to create an environment to enable them to improve their welfare, their well-being. The Nigerian journey has been challenged in that regard for a while. And so the need to engage very stoutly on this matter is a very high one. The journey of local government administration in Nigeria has been up and down, based on elite interests. And this has been sad for our country because the fundamental principle of subsidiarity, of government being closest to the people, being the more effective one, has been played with in how the relationship between the subnationals and the national government relative to local government has evolved in Nigeria. You know, back in colonial times, the most visible, most influential of officials was the district officer, the DO. It was because he was the person who ran government closest to the people, literally speaking. If some of you want to catch up on this whole general thinking, you can probably read very simple, short memoirs of Chief Jerome Udoji, Under Three Masters. Chief Udoji evaluates dealing with governing under the colonials, under the civilian Nigerian government, and under the military. In his early days, he was a DO in Western region, somewhere I think in the area where my friend Professor Bolaji Aluko is currently engaged. Chief Udoji was a DO around that area back in the 50s. And one of the major debates which he writes about in that book is the kind of contempt they had for the people at the center, because those people in Lagos didn't seem to know what the people needed and were engaged in power tussles rather than on service to the people. I found that a very interesting chapter to read in Udoji's memoirs. Anyway, from that period when local governments were quite effective in doing many things, we got to a point where under military rule, the so-called prebendal culture, the big man at the center handing out prebends to the colonel at the state subnational level. And then the military trying to find justification to reach the grassroots. The Obasanjo administration in 1976-77 conducted the reforms that led to taking something from some parts of Eastern Europe and from Latin America, I believe it was Brazil, to bring in the local government administration into fiscal federalism, where there were transfers from the from the center to the local government. And part of it was driven because the military were concentrating oil revenues at the center. And so they needed to find how to distribute it, quote unquote, more equitably. But I'll tell you about a couple of things that happened and how it has mangled Nigeria's economy and the effects and lessons we can learn from it. When that law was passed, it meant that 20.9%, I believe it is, of federally shared revenues were going to go to local government. And the states would then get, what, another 20-something%, and then the federal government got another 20-something%. Anyhow, this, in principle, was a very important thing to do to make government that was closer to the people, empower them to do more. But the culture of the prebendal state, just did not make it work, because really, truly, each level of government should be generating revenues from the things that it does. Those revenues enable it to better serve the people at that level of government. Look, as a young man growing up, one of the things that we used to enjoy watching was tax officials chasing people to pay their taxes. If you lived in Lagos in the 60s, the Luth area in Mushin was a very interesting area, because when the Western region, they start chasing you, the tax collectors, you run into Mushin area, you've entered Federal Capital Territory, and you've escaped them. And it used to be dramatic and all of that. But those all were related to how service went to the people with revenues collected. We knew that government was much more effective. But when the military began to centralize revenue collection, oil revenues all came to the center and all of that, and they needed to find some way of pushing it back. They came up with this formula. Unfortunately, they had begun to weaken local governments in terms of the quality of people who manage local governments. The best quality had now begun to go to the center and to the states. So you found that most people in the local governments did not have capacity. If you gave them all that revenue without capacity, so state governments took advantage of that. In that, really, truly, in most normal federations, you just have a national government and a subnational. The subnational determines local governments and as an administrative thing. That was the way we had it in the 60s in Nigeria. And one outcome of it, and I want to use this to illustrate something, one outcome of it was that in northern Nigeria, for example, the government chose to have fewer local governments. They wanted a more direct influence of the regional government. In the two major regions of the South, that is the West and the East, more local governments were created for greater effectiveness in servicing those areas. What then happened was that northern Nigeria or southern Nigeria had twice as many local governments as northern Nigeria before the coup. When the coup, when the reforms of 76, 77 were then being implemented, anybody who was powerful enough in the military establishment tried to get his area to have a local government. And before you knew it, we had run up to 774 local governments with nearly, not exactly, but nearly 500 of local governments in the old northern Nigeria, which had half the number of local governments the South had. And the balance, nearly 300, were from the South. In reality, what that meant was that more revenues coming from the distributable pool fund were going to local governments from that period. What was the effect? Because the effect is supposed to be to generate development. The effect was, sadly, that the part of the country that got more and more of those revenues, northern Nigeria, became more and more the poorer part of the country. Much poorer than it used to be, relatively speaking, in the 60s. Why was that? Because, as was the case in most of the country, the quality of people who ran them were poor. The state governors took advantage of the arrangements, and in the end, the process was not working well for the object of government, which is the development, the quality of life of citizens. So, are these reforms going to make things different? They will stand and fall on the quality of people who run local governments. And look at it this way, because, you know, politics in Nigeria has become so based on where is their cash to manage and abuse. Most people who retire from public service, military, private sector, tend to move back towards their home communities. I am now officially more resident in Ibuzo than I am in Lagos, even though I'm abroad at this time. Now, you're going to have many 60-something-year-olds in their prime with all this extraordinary experience that they have built up, becoming an army general, becoming a high court judge, becoming a school principal, and whatever it is, they're all going to be in that rural area. And then some miscreant, some tout, because the system looked down on local government, will be their local government chairman. The advantage that local governments actually do have in terms of the kind of people who go there is phenomenal, because you have high quality people that are available who have actually run their lives a race in the main, don't have any major need to abuse the system, and want to improve the quality of that area that they have come to live in. This will be an extraordinary good fortune for governance in Nigeria. But we have to make a deliberate effort. And that deliberate effort has to start with ensuring that the political parties recognize that the way they recruit people and channel them into roles change, so that they take from these generals, from these retired permanent secretaries, from these people, the candidates who go into local government administration. But above and beyond the fact that they are going to recruit into this new local government leadership high quality people, they have to approach government in a tripartite manner. This is something I've been singing about at whatever level of government for years, where the public sector, the private sector, and civil society are literally equal partners and act in a manner of checks and balances. So that where you have the advantage of that retired PAMSEC, who is now chairman of a local government, knows what he's doing, he still has the man who has built that factory in the village, who knows a lot about the needs of the private sector. In fact, if we know what we are doing, competitiveness of the private sector will be based on local factor endowments, so that the local schools, if, for example, the businessmen who have come and set up an industrial cluster in this area, take the factor endowment of that area. Let's take Benue State, one of my favorite examples. And then Sesame Seed growing in the wild around the place. The primary school curriculum in Benue State specifically will be oriented towards how to get a higher yield from sesame seed. By the time the young person is leaving primary school, he knows how to plant sesame seeds so that he gets yield comparable to anywhere in the world. If you check the yield ratios between Nigeria and other parts of the world, is disgraceful because we don't train, we don't have knowledge. When I was in primary school in northern Nigeria, one of the subjects we used to have was agriculture. We'll go out in the field in our school and, plant groundnuts and how to get, this happened in the early 60s. We lost all of that, so we don't have skills for those things. And so if we then have the local government focusing on education, for example, and ensuring that curriculum fits the enterprise need of that local government, and we have civil society made up of these retired people who are there dying because there is nothing to do, and they formed a club of whatever they are, pensioners, whatever, that come together and say, what is that local government chairman even doing? What's the local government doing? These private sector people who have built these industrial estates around the place, they look, no, this is what you must do. And this tripartite approach to governing will lead to a significant enhancement. Local governments will be competing with one another, who will bring a greater gain of development to their people. This is where you will have grassroots-based development. And they will think of infrastructure that will connect them up to other local governments, from which endowments that exist in those can complement this in industrial production. And the quality of schools will compete along local government lines. Which local government has the best schools in the country? Now this, I believe, is the way that we should approach thinking about local government administration. Unless we can think quality of human capital going into public life at the local government level, unless we can think checks and balances based on a tripartite approach to government, we will lose the great opportunity of the reintroduction of the principle of subsidiarity in Nigeria. What we will then have is what brought us down to where we are, where essentially somebody goes there, runs for election by stealing ballot boxes or whatever it is they do, and then he's named chairman. Then he goes to Abuja. This is what happened majorly in northern Nigeria. Checks into the Hilton after he's collected the local government allocation, comes back only when they're doing allocation and collects more, and nothing happens in the local government. But the kind of scenario that I have painted, if we can make that happen, we will see phenomenal growth, not only in the local government, but collectively in the state and in the country. And by the way, when these retired permanent secretaries and retired generals and retired principals and still working, whoever runs some business in the place, get together, no state governor will dare come and take their money, because he knows that he's not dealing with a bunch of jokers. This is where our country should be traveling. I thank you.
Again, we cannot hear Mr. Bonifo. Please, Mr. Rampam, can you step in?
Can you hear me, sir?
We can hear you.
Okay. Engineer Moore, if you can hear me, please step in. Engineer Emmanuel Moore, if you can hear me, please step in.
In the meantime, we have listened to two eminent professors. So if you have any questions for Professor Utomi, Professor Aluko, Mr. Zibo is also still here, sir. So, Mr. If you have any questions for any of our speakers, please feel free to raise up your virtual hand, and they will be happy to take your questions. Mr. Martin, go ahead.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed speakers for attending this conference. I have two questions in one. My first question is going to be, what do you guys think is the reason why there is a reluctance for the call for constitutional reform and overhaul? It seems as if when politicians or presidencies aspirants are vying for the post, they are all for restructuring. But as soon as they get in there, there must be something in there that makes them stop wanting to restructure that constitution. But everybody wants it reformed. The other question I have is, why will the government be responsible for traditional institutions? Same for religious institutions. Personally, I believe that these institutions should be the responsibilities of their constituents. Thank you. Any of the aspirants, participants, or speakers can take any of these questions, please.
Okay.
Can I take on one of the questions? This is Aluko.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes, there is when you talk about the Constitution and those who are on there and who then become either reluctant or they need convincing, let's put it that way. Here you are, you win an election and you swear to a constitution. You have sworn an oath to a constitution. So there is a reluctance to unswear to that constitution. There's no doubt about that. That there's this feeling that, well, I've sworn to this constitution and I'm reluctant to go against it. The other issue is that there are people who actually say, yeah, there are in the constitution provisions to change the constitution so that any other way of changing the constitution outside of what has been stated in the constitution is extra constitutional. It's outside of the constitutional, is unconstitutional. So if, for example, we talk about a referendum to approve a constitution, there is no referendum provision in the constitution. So what we need to be able to do is to convince either the existing members of the Constitution, of the National Assembly, or to make the change of the Constitution such a high issue in the next election that those who are chosen on the basis of the fact that they will go in there and put in a referendum clause that says we should be able to change this constitution and the constitution should be approved by a referendum. That is one of the things I first see. The second issue about traditional rulers. Before I came to this country, to be returned to the country, I was an anti-monarchist. I felt that they were an anachronism, that they will pass away with time, that they were not in consonance with democracy. But in my 6 years in the cabinet, I have found out that our traditional rulers are the actual stabilizers of our country. Because the politicians, as we know them, are not stable. It is these traditional rulers who live among the people, who know their pains, who are there from one government to the other. And sometimes they can actually speak truth to power in a respectful manner, especially their councils. So while I do not want them to be, right now, they are paid from the local government coffers. 5% of local government money must be assigned to the traditional rulers. And that's all. But of course, it's the state that gives them the staff of office. But from there on, it is the local government that pays their salaries. And I think it's a good way to go. And that's my own opinion. Thank you.
Oh dear. Oh my goodness. Sorry.
Thank you, Professor Pat. Okay, I think Professor Pat, who wanted to make a contribution, has some other things to do. Thank you very much, Professor Loco. Okay, there he is.
All
there
right.
he is.
Okay.
Prof,
I just had to run
you
up
have the
to
mic.
open the door. Yeah, thank you. Well, I think first and foremost that the question about why people who shout about change, constitutional change, get to public office and begin to sing a different tune. It's very simple. 500 years ago, Niccolo Machiavelli wrote in The Prince that nothing is more difficult to bring about than a new order of things. Because those who profit from the old order will do everything to prevent a new order from coming about. And those who can profit from the new order do not do enough to make it happen. Because man is incredulous in his nature, not wanting to try new things until he has witnessed experience of it. The truth is that many people who then get to power want to enjoy the absolute, if you will, or the discretions of the current order, which is not serving Nigeria well. And so they then begin to put drag on change. I think it's also important to make the point that our democratic system, because there's a legitimacy crisis in the way that we tend to ascend, does not hold people accountable for what they committed to previously. And so people are more quick to pretend that they didn't say what they said yesterday, today. Dr. Kaede Fayemi, who, by the way, is on his way here to me, is joining me for a program here in Washington in the next 48 hours, who was governor where Professor Aluko is serving, made some very interesting remarks at the Emeka Obasi first, I think, memorial lecture where he was keynote speaker. His remark was, look, the nature and the style of Nigerian politics has now, from his experience, actually he was responding to a question that was asked by NEB, Eniola Bello, the managing director of this day, I think, about why they say one thing, and then he gets to office, he has been in office, and he couldn't implement those things. And he said, basically, the truth of the matter is that the nature and structure of Nigerian politics is that no politician can now save Nigeria. The people have to save themselves. They have to take their government. It was a profound statement that Kaede Fayemi made at that lecture, and it is true. The truth is that the nature, just think of it. Most of them invest a fortune trying to become whatever it is, local government chairman, governor, this. Their debt collectors are waiting. The people that they have to appoint are people that they are appointing to meet some obligations, not people who have any particular interest in transforming lives and all of that. So it has to take a people's movement to say, no, we don't accept that this is the way our country should be, our local government should be. And this is what will bring the change about. I fully believe that this is the reason that people tend to say, oh, we won't, we don't like this, then we get there, and then they do something else. The second question was about traditional rulers, and I completely agree with Bolaji on this matter. By the way, if you pay any serious attention, the quality of traditional rulers in Nigeria is now by far higher than the quality of the politicians. Just go to the villages and wherever. Traditional ruler is a retired general, a retired professor, a retired PAMSEC. Just check anywhere in the country, from north to south. Compare them to the politicians who run around there, who are by far inferior. So there is a certain value that they bring to the table. What we need to do is discuss how society can, if you will, pay for it, ensure that they play that useful role. It's a joke that comes to my head about, you know, in the First Republic, we had a House of Chiefs. That was more or less our upper house. Traditional rulers were in the House of Chiefs. And then we abolished it by the time military finished. And Frank Olize was reporting for NTA News back in 1983. And it was the conferment of a chieftaincy title on a member of the Federal House of Representatives. And Frank said that Nigeria abolished the House of Chiefs. But with this conferment, this particular legislator becomes the last person to receive a title, a chieftaincy title. So we are now back to a House of Chiefs. We can now officially call the House of Representatives a House of Chiefs. Now, that's a joke, but the truth of the matter is that today the traditional rulers constitute a greater source of stabilization, like Professor Luku said, in the environment. And by golly, I can stick my head out and say it because I don't fear to speak truth to power, as some others do. They are of a higher quality than our politicians.
Yeah, I understand.
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
Zibo also want to speak on this issue. Pam. Mr. Zibo, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've listened to the two eminent professors responding to the question. And on the first issue, I do agree more with Professor Tommy's submission. The reality is, it is sad that even in an environment when where things are not functioning as would be expected, we're still going to this debate as to whether to improve on that situation. You know, in the private sector where I spent decades, even when you are topmost, you're at your best, you are managing a company that's performing better than the competitors, we're always in the boardroom brainstorming on how to improve, because we know staying at top usually is very difficult, more difficult than even getting there. So how much more where things are so bad, where we're terrible in terms of the indices, from the macro to the micro, and we still debate whether to restructure, improve our constitution, and it's unfortunate. So the answer to why things usually remain the way they are, and people campaign and they get in there, it's the same reason we've always complained. It's a combination of stupidity, selfishness, nepotism, and outright, being, tribal. If I go by that, I read the recent article that Professor Tommy also wrote in this regard, how the Greeks classified people. So when we get in there, we just mind our pockets and pockets of our cronies. And this is why we don't even make the effort. How much more succeed in the effort? We have to, I said this every day, and anytime I have opportunity to speak on this, we should consider improving and changing our constitution almost on a yearly basis, as long as it's about improving it and making sure it works better and better for the Nigerian people. So there's nothing else to say. I know the difficulty getting the constitutional requirements of both at the National Assembly and the involvement of the states as well. But if we actually go through the journey in a right manner and we are bringing about changes that will, do justice to the Nigerian people, I can tell you that we will succeed eventually. There's some distraction here. Can somebody mute the other person speaking? Now, on the other issue about
now you muted everybody. What's going on, please? Can you unmute Val, please?
Hello, okay. Yeah, so on the second issue, or second question about government and the traditional institutions and the religious institutions. Again, I agree with both speakers in this regard. They do have values to add. I don't think using the word in control or funding or leading these institutions should be the right thing, but rather partnering with them. They do have, and again, Prof. Tommy spoke about the tripartite relationship between the government, the private sector, and the civil society. You can consider these two as a very important part of the civil society. They must be involved at the governance level. And if I even go with Anambra example, if His Excellency Peter B is here, he will tell you what he did working with these institutions in curbing the issue of insecurity and raising the quality of education in Anambra State. If, for instance, you can't even, you see that the civil servants are not delivering, for instance, and you see that the religious institutions, I mean, look at the education institutions managed by these bodies, they outperform most of the other ones. So as long as you're intent on improving quality, as long as you're working with the people and institutions within that, you can partner with them to achieve the collective, good that we're deserving. So I think that it is in finding the right mix, right balance to ensure that to bring in these key stakeholders in administration, both at the local government and beyond. And of course, recognizing the power of private sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Valo Zibo, for that contribution. Please, Kevin, can you help me check through? We have over 130, so please help me check through if some of our speakers have arrived. Mr. Femi Falana Esquire, Mr. Salvation Alibo, and the Honorable Senator, Distinguished Senator Sani Shehu. In the meantime, Dr. Moses Anungo, I can see your hand up. Please feel free to unmute and make your contribution or question. Dr. Moses.
Okay. Thank you very much. Most appreciate the organizers of the program, but most importantly, the speakers. My concern, which I have turned it into questions, will focus directly to Professor Tomi and any other speaker who may have an answer to it. Prof, I've listened to your presentation. I joined actually late, so that's why I'm just focusing my questions to you. If I had listened to other speakers, I would know where to come in. So you can pick these questions and answer, or other speakers can equally attempt to answer them. Okay, we are talking about local government election, opportunity to strengthen democracy at the grassroots. Now, this is where my concern come in. If APC takes it all in the ongoing local government elections across the federation, how can we then affirm or sustain the acclaimed local government autonomy we are preaching today? I ask this question because you have seen what the APC government is doing at the national and at the state. And the politics at the local government is already ongoing. And most of the APC states are playing it in such a way that they don't want any other political party to have a way in any of the local governments in their state. So assuming they have taken it all, what would be the fate of the local government autonomy we are talking about today? The second question is, what role do you think or will you suggest other political parties should play to avert the danger that I am anticipating should APC take it all? Particularly, what do you think Labour Party can do to equally feature into the local government election in order to strengthen democracy? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moses Anungo, for your question. Directed to Professor Pat Utomi. Let me quickly say here that COPDEM is apolitical, and members of COPDEM are from different political parties. So thank you for the question. Professor Pat, the question is directed to you, sir.
Thank you. I'll answer very quickly, and I have to leave to another meeting. First and foremost, I think that the point I made about Governor Kayode Fayemi's remarks holds true. If we are really, truly a democracy, people should realize how much their lives are on the line in these choices and stand up to make sure the right things happen. If people mobilize, find serious-minded people to run for these positions and really come out there to defend the vote. Yes, they may want to play the games that have been played traditionally, but it will be more difficult. And if we mount a huge campaign about free and fair elections, look, Adams Oshomole, they were going to do all kinds of things to him in Edo State. Then he, even though later he became a turncoat, but he mounted this one-man, one-vote thing, brought everybody. I was one of those who came to Benin. We all rallied in the stadium, one man, one vote. All of those put the fear of God in those who wanted to manipulate the system. I think we must all mobilize to say the local government is our soul. It is where we really live. And I want to change local governments and will not allow this to be where state governors go and write results. If we put enough pressure, they will panic. Look, I know these guys, they're my friends, they're cowards. But we all retreat and we allow them to get away with murder on a daily basis. So that is one. Citizens' action. Again, the point that Kayode Fayemi made is it. We have to really go and pressure the system, mobilize, use technology, everything to show what is going on. And maybe we can have a redemptive effect in this regard. So, I mean, that's the only answer I can give at this point in time. If it goes any further, if the thing continues to be a farce, look everywhere in the world, the final outcome. When governments reduce the people to such disregard, eventually, they pay a very dear price for it. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. It's been nice having you around. Thank you for making time to being here, sir.
Great pleasure.
Thank you. I don't know if any of our panelists would want to contribute or have their own say, make additions to what Professor said.
I'm sure Professor Aluko may have something to say because...
well, I do. If APC wins all local governments, I'm sure this country will be better. Let's put it that way. But quite frankly, ADGA is in Anambra State. PDP is in several of these other states. The situation now in the country, I think it was Dr. Anugo, who was concerned about APC taking over the entire country because it is in the federal. These are not federal interventions for local government. These are state interventions. In general, the state that is ruling at the party that is ruling at the center in the state is the one that is taking over all the local government seats. That should change, or at least there should be a greater balance of power. I have been an advocate for zero-party elections at the local government, primarily because of what Professor Utomi said, that there are many retired people, principals, generals, professors back in the local government who would want to make a contribution but do not want to be members of a political party. And I've actually raised it too with Dr. Fayemi when he was governor, that we should actually legislate. If there was going to be a constitutional review, one of the things that I would like to suggest is the issue of having zero-party elections at the local government, no parties, and let everybody come out based on what they know, because there really should not be ideologies as such at such a local government. It is everybody has its own concern at the local government, and it should not be an ideological thing. So that's my contribution to this. I also wanted to mention the fact that what Pat too said, that the quality of the traditional rulers. In my state, for example, virtually all the traditional rulers, I have ambassadors, former captains of industry, they just go back home and become KBACs, and they articulate well, they relate with the people, and I am impressed by them, and we must find a way of, but they still do not wish to have rudeness from the chairman of the local government. So they try as much as possible not to interfere too much with the local government. They complain behind, but I think that we must find a way of ensuring that they have better influence at the local government level. I too will have to run soon. It's 8:30 now, and I will have to run soon, if you don't mind. I'll just take one more question and then I'll leave later on.
Thank you very much, Professor. I really would love to have you around. And the floor is still open for questions. Please, if you're just joining us, you are on to the COPDEM conference on local government elections, an opportunity to strengthen democracy at the grassroots. And please, if you're just joining us, please rename your device if your device is not getting your name. So let's move over to the hands here.
If you can call Ken, please. Ken Agolo.
Ken. Oh, yes. Okay, I can see Ken. Ken Agolo, please, the mic is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, clear. Yeah, I sent something in the chat because what we are talking about local government election. And all of you know that with the current system in the local government election, there's no sitting governor will ever allow an opposition candidate to be a chairman or councillor of the local government. We know that. You check what we have in Edo, check what we have in Delta, are you gonna check what we're gonna have in Anambra? And I'm glad Valentine already said the problem they have, even the Labour Party is just considering whether they're gonna participate or not. This is because the nomination and overall conduction of local government election as of today is in the hands of the sitting governor. We know that. So we can speak any grammar we want to speak here today. That will not change until we fight for the INEC to conduct local government election. This will free up resources from the state government and also curtail their overwhelming power in the conduct of local government election. That's what we should be fighting. Everybody knows that government to the root is better. But how can that be possible? Those governors will get their people. We're talking about giving money direct to the local. They go over there and take that money. All those governors, all those local government chairmen, this is their politics. They will sign off and give them back the money. And it became business as usual. So we should be fighting for this. Let INEC conduct local government election. Just like parties will say their nominees direct to the INEC, not to the government. As we are having problem here with the Anambra state. That is one. The second, the law of the land today by the Supreme Court ruling that INEC are not required to transmit results from the polling units. They're not required. You can speak grammar from here to today. They will do that. And they know very well, APC government will make sure they start with states. So what are we fighting? We fight for the mandatory transmission of election results from the polling unit to the IRAC and penalties for whoever refused to do that. Okay, so those are the two basic issues. You're talking about changing the constitution or all those stuff, but these are the two we can do. And this organization can partner with other organizations and with the so-called Labour Party legislators who are just like the same with these people, APC and PDP, because this is for their own benefit. It's for their own benefit. So that there will be mandatory transmission of election results from the polling units. Those are the two issues I want to raise. And I beg this organization to tackle these two issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the contribution. I don't know if Professor Bolaji is
I'll just respond to this one and leave. The first idea is a bad idea. To have INEC conduct elections of local government is a very bad idea. First, it makes the country a unitary country. We are two-tier federation, the federal and the state, and then the state and the local government. There should be a SEC, a State Electoral Commission. That's in the Constitution. Of course, you have to change the Constitution for that to occur. But I find it very strange that when you say the governor's SEC has an overriding power at the state, why do you think that the president of the country cannot have an overriding power of INEC and ensure that all local government elections belong to the one at the federal government? Yes, I'm a member of APC. If SEC If INEC becomes the one that also conducts a local government election and it wants to use a heavy hand, then all local governments will become APC chairman. But then when it becomes ABGA or Labour, then I will face the consequences. I prefer the states to have their local governments, to have their CX. Let each party within each state fight to ensure that its candidates are part of the process. It is easier for each state to tackle its CX than for them to tackle the federal government, INEC. Okay. The other issue about transmission, I support that. Mandatory support, mandatory transmission of elections. But I will tell you that there will be no Supreme Court who says because the elections are not, certain elections are not transmitted, therefore that invalidates what could be correct results. Okay? No, I do not see any Supreme Court that will say yes, even if it is mandated. The fact that you mandate a transmission when there are other backups for the results does not mean that the result that were counted is invalid. It is the invalidity that we should be talking about. It is the fact that the alternative results held by agents of the party, all party agents must ensure that they have the results at the polling units, such that when they come before a court, they can tender those results. It is nice to have results to be mandatorily transmitted. That will never ensure that because they are not mandatorily transmitted, therefore the actual results are not correct. Mandatory transmission gives confidence. Mandatory results allows the people not at the site to be able to do their own check. But the best check are the agents at the site and their ability to present the results that were reported at the site. That is what we should concentrate on. I support mandatory results, but more importantly, agents, the parties must present their own agents and ensure that they have certified copies of the result. If you do not have certified copies of the result, forget it before a court. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Maloko.
Can I step in here?
Please, Your Excellency Val, the floor is yours.
Thank you. On the two issues that were raised by my brother here, this is actually the most fundamental thing we're discussing here tonight. We can go back to the historical perspective and have the origin of this and the consequence of that. At the end of the day, it's about what changes we need to make that will impact on our lives. And the first issue around who to conduct the election, I see a case of, we call it two knives in Ogina's family. One that is sharp has no head. The one that has head is not sharp. So is that a frustration that people, when we see what is already happening at the state level, you see that it's almost impossible to get it right in terms of the process. And in fact, it democratizes impunity, because instead of now one INEC doing something wrong, we'll have 36 INECs doing things that are wrong. Once the INEC now, not INEC, ASIAC, the state level, doing stuff that are criminal in nature. And at the end of the day, find out the second comment he made will actually address this first point if we get it right, issue of transmission, and I'll come to that. So in the circumstance, it's actually better for INEC to conduct, because they will find it difficult to be able to go through this wrong, erroneous, criminal process in all the 774 local governments. They will try to do something as decent as possible because they are less connected. It's not such an interested party. Besides one or two areas where they may want to manipulate, you find that the veracity, the efficacy of the process may be more potent when it comes to the issue of the INEC as a central body. That's not the ideal thing. Under normal circumstances, it should be the State Electoral Commission doing it. But because we've seen the consequence, now that brings us to this issue of, transmission. I'm really surprised to hear that a Supreme Court will not be able to do the right thing of actually saying, uphold what is already in the Electoral Act. It's mandatory. It's criminal not to transmit. How can anybody say agent, whatever? Once agents at the polling unit sign off on the results, then you have to transmit. In fact, let me say this. I'm actually looking for how we can make both INEC and SEC useless in the process, where they are not able to influence, manipulate, and affect the results at the ground. And that's even when we can institute properly, fully and totally electronic voting. This collation center is the epicenter of criminality. If you vote at the polling units, the BVAS is there to make sure you are accredited and you cast your vote. I don't see why that vote should actually just go. We shouldn't go straight to the collation at the state level or the national level. If it's the governorship, for instance, or if it's a presidency in the case of national. So what it means here is that you don't have to go to the ward, go to the local government, all these centers of collation. That's where the impunity happens. Once you have voted, and with this, we can actually get diaspora to be able to vote. We can actually just make sure we are able to push for people to be in their home. In Anambra election, for instance, so you see the amount of waste that we actually get involved with because we don't do the right thing. In Anambra 2021, 34,000 policemen were deployed. Guess what? Maybe only 10,000 were even deployed. The other 24,000 for theft of money. And then when they announced all this deployment, if you have all this number of police coming to do what? But if we have our telephone and we have the right technology, well tested, not the one that INEC will come tomorrow and switch off and order, well tested, that will allow checks and balance so that even the candidates have the ability to query in a very logical form what has happened. And we leverage blockchain technology and we do such that nobody can vote more than once. If we develop such a solution, then you can vote at the local level and it goes straight and the results are called. And with this, your telephone can become your house becomes your polling unit, by the way. So that in 1 hour, the entire nation can vote. I don't see why this can be done. And if we do this, some people will question, okay, how about the places where there are no Wi-Fi? We can spend money. We can thank God for Elon Musk. We can make sure everybody can just focus on making sure there's enough bandwidth. And you have the number of people who have always voted in the past. My point here is that we need to get things right. And I will go back to the last question before this one, when he mentioned APC taking. When people keep blaming others and not assuming responsibility, it hurts me. What are you doing when the APC is about to take it? Are you going to fold your hands and just come to complain here? What are you going to do? Are you going to step out? Are you going to mobilize people and say, no, enough of this nonsense? No, we're not going to do that because, again, we're either selfish, we're nepotic, and myself inclusive, I'm not excluding myself. Nigerians are so docile sometimes until we're able to say enough is enough. This whole nonsense will continue. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Moderator, I just wanted to make a correction between transmission of results as in the last election and electronic voting. I support electronic voting. I support a situation where immediately you vote, your votes are transmitted. That is different from transmitting results that have been written and sent somewhere. That's different. I support electronic voting in which there is no intermediate local government, ward collation, local government collation, state collation, and all of those. Press it, your result gets sent right away. That's different from what we had in the last election. The issue of INEC and SIEC, it is the choice of the membership of these bodies that is important. And I'm in support of civil society individuals constituting these these bodies, not somebody chosen by the president or by the governor. Civil society must take better control of the electoral process among themselves. If we can have a law that allows such a situation where the civil society in the state or in the country choose among themselves who head the electoral body, and I would fully support that, rather than have the president or the governor be the one that chooses the body. Thank you, guys, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Professor Bolaji Aloko, for your time. There's a very interesting perspective there. So we hope you'll be available if we call you next time to be part of us.
Always. I like to be in good company.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir. So please, Kevin and maybe Agbonifo, I don't know if our special guest is around, His Excellency Peter Obi, or any of those who have not spoken yet, so that they could we could have them on. Distinguished Senator Sani Shehu, Mr. Femi Falana Esquire, and Mr. Salvation Alibo. Please do scan through if any of them is around, so we could yield the mic.
I cannot spot them. Your boy can go ahead, but so far I can't spot them yet. I'm still waiting.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. And so we go back to the House. Let me call on Idris Abubakar. Idris Abubakar, your hand is up. Please unmute yourself and ask your question or make your contribution. You have 2 minutes, please. Idris Abubakar, are you there? Okay, while Idris is working on muting himself, Prince Shola, your hand is up. Can we have you? 2 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity to speak. I would like to appreciate the organizers of this conference and, of course, the panelists and the participants. Local government elections, opportunity to strengthen democracy at the grassroots. The question that readily comes to mind is that how much of strengthening of democracy do we have at with this election have at the grassroots in a situation whereby the party in power at the state level, whenever election is conducted in most recent times, record in 100% chance of victory. It seems to be magical to most observers. So in this wise, it appears that the will the choice of the electorate is not allowed to count in terms of choosing their representatives. And once this takes place, I dare say that democracy is not at play. So I would like our panelists to address this. And this is this is the reason why a debate as regards the State Electoral Commission should be, set aside or disallowed, from conducting local government elections, while the National Assembly is currently considering either setting, up a different electoral body to manage this or assign this responsibility to a INEC because of some of these irregularities being witnessed in recent times. So I would like.
Okay.
Thank you. I yield the mic.
Yeah, please, Shola, your network was breaking a bit when you asked. Can you just make it in one sentence? The question precise. We've gotten the example. So, what is the question precisely now?
Okay. The question I ask is that we desire democracy. I mean, the will of the people in terms of choice making in elections to be at play at the local government. And what we do, witness oftentimes is that the party in power, almost take the day. So going forward, how do we, ensure that at this level, the democracy with so much desire to take place, to be strengthened, takes effect?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I guess it has been one of the things that has been addressed partially, but I don't know if Val Ozigbo would like to comment on that briefly.
Yes, thank you.
How do we ensure the will of the people?
Yeah, we've discussed this here already, and I alluded to this when I made my remarks. To get things right, when I say right, 360 degrees, you need to start off first with the political parties fielding the right candidates who meet the requirement, who have the experience, who have the right moral character, who have the right personality, who are compassionate, who understands what to do on the job. If you are interviewing somebody for a role, for a job, person has to meet those key criteria before you're able to hire the person. The same way, when we are recruiting people in public office, in fact, it's even more important that we get it right, because this is now everybody's company, not just your own personal company. So that's the starting point of it. And then we need to make sure that the right processes are in place. And so the umpires, the actors, must be able to do the needful. And when they don't, that's when you bring in the citizens' power. So we should stop whining. These things are happening because we get away with murder in Nigeria. They will do this. Is it not the same like in the case of the SIEC? Who are there? Who are there? Do they not come from communities? What are the people from the community saying to him? When you do the wrong and you're ostracized, next time you're not going to see somebody do the wrong. People get away with nonsense because we're such a docile set of people. I'm saying this to myself as well. We need to wake up and should be able to say enough of this nonsense until we rise up. Because what happens in this country cannot happen even in neighboring countries like Senegal or Egypt and co. No, it can't happen. So until we're able to understand our citizens' power and be active citizens and be selfless about this, because nobody wants to die, nobody wants to be arrested, nobody wants to, things just keep happening and happening. Of course, they'll keep happening. So until we're able to say enough of this, things won't stop. We need to hold people accountable, hold judges accountable, hold INEC accountable, hold SIEC accountable, hold policemen and co accountable. hold governors and presidents accountable. Until we do this, sorry, whatever you get, you take. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that response. Okay, let's go back to the House. We have Mazi Okoye. Your hand is up. Please unmute yourself and ask your question or contribution. Mazi Okoye, are you there?
Yeah, thank you, Prince.
All right.
Thank you very much. It seems to me that Nigerian political problem is actually headed, like a Hydra head monster. Because as we were having this conversation, I was thinking about the role political parties play in the selection of these candidates. Because we know in the last election, we know a certain governor that was sort of bragging, openly that he paid, registration fee for everybody in the state to be able to get them into places. When you have such impunity, openly being practiced by politicians, what are you going to do? Where a governor, for example, in Anambra State, where I come from, Soludikan chose to pay for all the local government chairman registration. And when they get voted, they get into power, they're definitely going to be beholden to the governor. And we know of cases where, some legislatures, which was, their power is already guaranteed in the Constitution, where they said they don't really want to take on their own power. They want to invest their own power to the governor, thereby undermining that same position they were voted to represent the people. So in that case, what's the people going to do? And this question goes to Valentine Osiwo, because we Nigerians are caught between the rock and a hard place, because we don't really know where to turn, where, impunity, so to say, is the order of the day. Is this going to be solved by prohibition or by law? Because people can just do whatever they want. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The cost of nomination forms. Dr. Val, are you there?
Thank you. It's actually beyond just the cost of nomination form, if I get him right. It's really about the political parties doing the wrong thing. And when I spoke earlier, I spoke on this issue. I touched on it. You actually can have a situation where this is who the masses want. This is who they think can deliver. This is who they think ticks all those boxes of the 4 C's of character, competence, capacity, and compassion. However, maybe for whatever reason, some people who have ulterior, primordial, personal, selfish interests decide it's not going to be that person. It has to be somebody else who will do our bidding, who is loyal to us, who they think will not be as objective. They want somebody, maybe sometimes even their houseboy. And you now have a difficulty, the right candidate actually now emerging. And so I don't know if I should even be the one talking about this, because if I tell you that I haven't experienced this, even in the ongoing thing we're doing in Anambra, I'll be lying to you. I'll be lying to you. So in fact, somebody, as we're having this conversation this evening, somebody sent me a video of a gentleman in Newi South who is saying to his people, Valentino's boy is not going to be the candidate of Labour Party. And I was talking today, this meeting held today in his house. And guess what? There's somebody else is pushing for. This is not about talking about Anambra politics. But when you go actually do a poll today and ask and the Anambra or beyond Nigerians, who should be the candidate of Labour Party in Anambra? It was done recently. My score was 95%. And the person who is at 4% is being pushed by this particular individual. Guess what? He's a top member of the Labour Party, maybe even a BOT member. And so if they decide, for instance, they manipulate the process and frustrate the right candidate, tomorrow you want that party to win? You want the right thing to be done? No. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we ensure that the will of the people happens not just at the general election, but at the primary stage? It's a difficult question we need to unravel. And this is actually why we having this obedient movement is such an important, gap filling measure. But other parties don't have obedience. How do we make sure the right thing is that every party should put their best foot forward so that it doesn't even matter anymore who wins? You know that the state or local government will be in the right hand. But how do you, to ensure that the right candidate wins through the right process, is such a simple thing, but such a difficult thing. And this is where the power of our citizenship must also come to bear. How do we hold these people accountable to stop them from frustrating, the entire process? So I don't know, others can speak because as I speak to you, I'm still battling to see how I get my head off the ground. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for having you around. And I guess it's almost about time that we move to the next item while we wait for the other guests to join, some of our speakers. And at this point, I would like to keep going to the next item, which is ensuring Nigeria gets better. A brief presentation that has been done already. So we're looking at the fundraising. I don't know. Dr. Ngoweke, please confirm if you are around. We'll continue with the questions and answers as this goes on. Dr. Ngoweke. All right, while we wait to confirm, let's see if we can
I think Dr. Ngoweke is here. Can you make him co-host so that he can easily unmute himself? Ngoweke is here. Please make him a co-host, please.
While that is going on.
Okay.
It's not a co-host.
Thank you so very much, Prince Rampam. Please unmute yourself. Sorry, please mute yourself. Thank you very much, Mr. Rampam, the chairman of COPDEM, national chairman, for coordinating this exciting event. And most profound thank you to the speakers who have spoken so far, Valentine Ozigbo, Professor Tomi, and Professor Aluko. What a wonderful team of panelists we have tonight. Exciting. I mean, although I came in late, but the few things I heard from these panelists actually got me thinking. I'm saying to myself, wow, these are people, gurus in the political atmosphere in Nigeria. But of course, COPDEM too has a role to play in ensuring that democracy in Nigeria is worth the while. Now, obviously, we are in this segment, which is, I think, is number 6 in the agenda, which is, am I right in saying that, Prince Rampam? Are we ready to go on to item 6 in the agenda? Because I could see that there are many hands up.
Exactly. We're going to item 6. We'll always return to the hands as we go, sir.
Okay.
But right now, item 6. Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for that confirmation. And of course, we've been talking and talking and talking, and I'm grateful. We have 146 people here tonight, all tuned in to listen to these great speakers. And I also thank COPDEM for organizing this segment. But of course, COPDEM, as we all know, is a political action group. We are apolitical, which means that we do not belong to any specific political party. However, we're here to advance politics and electioneering in Nigeria. And for that reason, obviously, we've been doing some grassroots work. We've done so many work in the past. You could check our activities in our website, www.copdem.org.uk. Well, you check it out. But anyway, so this segment is about, actually, we are in the process of holding what we call a vote right project, COPDEM's vote right project. What that means is that as part of COPDEM's activities to empower people on the ground, on the grassroots, to ensure that politics and electioneering and democracy is strengthened in Nigeria, we are embarking on voters' education to ensure that people know their rights and to refrain from selling their votes, and also ensuring that those who are voting know what to do on election day, not just voting, but ensuring that they protect their vote. Because of course, if you do your voting and you don't protect it in the Nigerian system, you might as well not have gone to vote. So this is the essence of what we're doing next, which is fundraising. Essentially, we'll be inviting you to please assist us in this process by way of contributing voluntarily towards our fundraising event. And we're actually looking for 25 million naira to enable us to advance democracy in Nigeria. And the 25 million that we're looking for is to cover 250 local governments in Nigeria, which is 1/3, if you like, of the total local governments in Nigeria. So, and these 250 local governments are in 25 states of the country. And the budget we have for each of these 250 local governments is 100,000 naira each. So, in other words, to break it down further, you can either give us 25 million naira right now, and that will be it. You'll be the greatest hero in Nigerian democracy. In fact, we ensure that your name is written in marble. Or you could choose to, fund one local government, 100,000 naira for a local government. And these 250 local governments are spread across 25 states. So your state could be there, but it doesn't matter. This is a national issue. We know that democracy in Nigeria has a long way to go, and we're here in COPDEM to ensure that it is strengthened. So I will be inviting people, like I said. Please, if I do invite you, just state what you could help us with. No amount is too little, no amount is too big. Like I said, 25 million is, is neither here nor there. We'll be very grateful to you. So please let me make sure that my colleagues, Kevin, are you ready to take notes? Names of people who will be, showering us with cash this evening. Are you ready, Kevin?
Yes, I'm ready.
Thank you very much. So as the tradition permits, the way we usually do it is I'll call upon your name, and this is based on the names that appears on my computer screen. And fortunately enough,
I'm ready, sir.
Sorry?
Mr. Ogumweke, please, I'm sorry to interject you. I believe we have an unofficial chairperson who is ready to help us launch this fundraiser in the
we do.
Dr. Cordelia Udo, please. I would like you to start with her first, please.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Thank you very much for that direction. I absolutely appreciate that, Martin. So yes, obviously we have a wonderful lady, and I usually call her, the Iron Lady of COPDEM, Dr. Cordelia Udo, who is one of the COPDEM BOT, a very strong member at that, financially stable. She is the one that actually helps to drive this whole system forward. So I would like to invite our dear sister, Dr. Cordelia Odo, to please take the mic. Thank you. Dr. Odo, are you there? You're still muted. Dr. Odo, are you there? Could somebody please assist Dr. Odo to unmute? She's probably struggling to unmute because I remember that's what happened to me. Could somebody unmute her, please?
Yeah, I've unmuted her.
Okay, great.
I don't think she's...
Dr. Udo, your mic is still muted. We are waiting for you patiently.
I'll start to unmute. Okay.
Meanwhile, Mr. Peter B has called again to say he's still in a very closed meeting, that while we continue, immediately he sees an opportunity to jump in, he will do so.
Okay.
So that is the latest I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So once he's around, please let me know, and obviously I'll yield the mic back to the moderator. Okay. Dr. Udo seems to be struggling with her microphone, and of course, being the chief launcher, we would probably have to come back to her when her mic is sorted. Do we agree with that? So we can move forward.
Agreed.
Oh, Dr. Udo is back.
I just had that. Sorry, I wasn't here at all.
Well, sorry. Okay.
Tell me what is the... Oh, we are back to the fundraising aspect of it.
That's correct. That's correct. I was obviously, announcing your name, telling the members, telling participants what you have been doing, how you are the Iron Lady, the lady that steers the wheel and directs, the movements of COPDEM and all of that. Your passion for democracy in Nigeria is unrivaled. Honestly, being a member of the BOT myself, I can actually attest to the things you're doing for Nigeria. Is incredible. Thank you so much for your love for Nigeria. Thank you so much for your love for COPDEM and for democracy. And of course, you being the chief launcher today or tonight is not a mistake. So I yield the mic to you, Dr. Udo.
Yes, so my love for Nigeria will not end. My love for our young adults is unparalleled because they are our future. When I look at them, I tear up sometimes. And so we owe it to our generation. We need to set the pace. I am so ashamed sometimes. I said, I thought my father's generations didn't do enough. But then when you look at our generation, you start wondering. So we need to get it right for our children and their children. And I admire everything that COPDEM is doing. Now we are taking it to the grassroots to educate them that they should not lose hope, to keep hope alive, and whatever it would take. And so I'm going to start by donating. I don't want the government though. I'm giving my donation in dollars, so I'm not funding any treason. I don't want, okay, Tinubu and Co. I'm not funding treason. I'm even funding for your own grandchildren.
Yes.
Okay, your own grandchildren to live to see that everything you're doing today, they can benefit from it. And be proud that you, Tinubu, ever ruled Nigeria. We don't want Nigeria all scattered. Okay? And so on that, I will start with $2,000.
Wow. 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 Awesome. Awesome. Sorry, those who know how to do arithmetic and knows how much dollars is in Naira, please convert. I mean, this is huge. Awesome. Wow. Wow.
Marvelous,
Wow.
actually.
Wow. Please, how much is
Thank
that?
you very much.
Prince Rampam, did you work it out? Kevin, please, somebody work it out. We need it. We need
Please,
it in
sorry, my network went off. How much is it again so I can write it down?
$2,000.
About
All right,
3.2 million naira.
Oh my God, this is awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Udo. This is amazing. I mean, I told you guys that, she is a mover and a shaker, and she has moved and shaken it. So thank you so much for doing that. Wow. Okay. Wow. We have hit the ground running, if as politicians say. So, okay. On that note, I will obviously start to, well, thank you so much for placing the account details. Sorry?
Your account number is in the chat box.
Yes, I've just seen that flash up on my screen. So please, we have an account details here. If you pressed, you could just obviously paying some money into the account will be very much appreciative. But please do let us know how much you paid in so that we can capture your name and how much you've donated. So that said, I've got a couple of hands up. So
do you have your account in dollars? I can move it now.
No, it's not. It's not in dollars, man.
Okay.
Not in dollars.
No, there is Clubdom USA account held by Mr. Anemeka Crescent and Mr. Vincent. So both of them have, and I think Mr. Martin will also have it, isn't it? Clubdom USA account.
I have the Govt USA account, but I'm not signatory to it. I can forward that to Dr. Cordelia later on. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Right. Okay. I would invite those who have their hands up, and I'm hoping that they would obviously support what the chief launcher has just said. So please, when you're making your speech or contribution, just make it quickly because I'm conscious that time is quite is getting later and later by the night. So I call upon Eddie Nwosu. Please unmute your mic, sir, and speak to us. Thank you. After him, please, Isaac Ndebina. I hope I got your name correctly. So Eddie Nwosu, please unmute yourself, sir. Kevin, are people having difficulty with unmuting? Kevin, is it the case that people have difficulty to unmute?
I have asked them to unmute, so.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, thank you for inviting me for this program today. After quietly listening to all the activities and programs in the midst of certain peace and democracy in Nigeria, the main issue was omitted. The unity can only exist when people within the geographical sphere accept that unity and agree to participate in that unity. However, I did not hear about the main problem in Nigeria, that is Biafran exiting Nigeria.
Okay, can I, Mr. Nwosu, sorry, Mr. Nwosu, one moment, please. One moment.
Please, Mr. Nwosu.
Mr. Nwosu, please. Kevin, could you mute Mr. Nwosu, please? Kevin, please mute him. Thank you very much. Let me make it clear. The COPDEM is a pro-democracy institution, and what we're here for is about promoting democracy in Nigeria. It's not about bringing any division or divisiveness. It's not a platform or a forum for any dichotomy or division to be promoted. So please be guided. Thank you very much. Isaac Ndebina, please go straight. The segment, let me just make it clear, please. The segment we're on now is actually fundraising to enable COPDEM to drive democracy promotion and empowerment in Nigeria. So please, if your contribution does not relate to that, please put your hand down so I can call other people. Thank you. Isaac? Isaac, please unmute. Oh, you're muted already. Please take the mic. Okay, while we're waiting, Isaac, are you? Isaac, we can't hear you if you're talking. Okay. Yeah, the next person on my screen is Mazi Okoye. Mazi HTM Okoye, please take the mic. Mazi HTM Okoye. While we're waiting for HTM Okoye, and I would invite Prince Shola Oladipo. Prince, please take the mic. It's fundraising time to promote democracy in Nigeria from the grassroots. Prince Shola. Okay, Ugo, your hand is up. Yes, you can take the mic. Please, let's make it quick. Go ahead, please. Ugo, unmute yourself, please. Okay, Dr. Dike, you got your hand up. Like I said, I will reiterate again, this segment is a segment for fundraising, free will donation, respect to promoting democracy in the grassroots in Nigeria. Dr. Dike, please unmute yourself. Okay, we're having issues here. Adamu Yusuf Gwari. Adamu Yusuf Gwari, please take the mic.
Good evening, all.
You're welcome.
I'm by name Adamu Yusuf Gwari, the president coordinator of Govt Students Gombe State Chapter. I just came late, and then actually it was on fundraising to promote democracy. So as a student, I'm going to pledge. I'm going to donate 2,000 in order to promote the democracy, and then by the grace of God, I'm going to send the money by the end of the month. So that's what I have for now. Thank you.
Well done, Adamu. That is incredible. As a student, it just shows, how committed you are to improving democracy in Nigeria. So thank you so much. You're so much appreciated. Please, Ugo is struggling to unmute himself.
Yes, I just succeeded, my brother.
Okay, all right, please go ahead.
Yes, greetings to everybody. I've had my hands up for a long time, so because I wanted to respond to, is it okay to respond to some of the things that were said?
Not really, not now. We'll come back to that segment. This is fundraising time, please, because we're conscious that.
All right, I'll then skip. You can skip me then for now.
Okay.
If I can't do something, I don't want to participate in fundraising for now.
Okay, all right, thank you. Adam, please lower your hand. Martin, you got your hand up, and I've previously invited Mazi Okoye and
I was struggling to unmute at the time.
Okay.
And, someone eventually unmuted me. It's quite difficult to follow Dr. Uda, the Iron Lady. She's always in the forefront of all that we do. So I acknowledge what she did. For me, I will go follow her by not in a way of going up to what she has done, but follow her in the goodwill of saying that I would do 200,000, because in our adage, they say let the big animal bring big firewood, and the small animal bring small firewood. So
I get
my own firewood is 200,000. Thank you.
Well done, Mazi Okoye. Thank you so much. Please take note of that. I've got time.
Okay, that's $200,000, I guess.
Yes, you can put any symbol. You can put any symbol with Sampan that you like. He knows how much is donated. So, Martin, please, yes, unmute yourself and speak.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ogomeke. I would just like to say a few things before I make any contribution. We as Nigerians, we are very good at wanting to make omelette without breaking an egg. Everybody wants a great Nigeria. Everybody wants Nigeria to move forward. Everybody wants talks big and how they want to make Nigeria the greatest nation in the world. But nobody wants to do anything about it financially. It is not going to be possible. Just in reference to marriage ceremony, wedding, what is it called, a naming ceremony, a burial ceremony. There's a WhatsApp group that I belong to just in the past 2 weeks that they tried to raise money to bury somebody in Nigeria. And they were able to raise over $100,000 for that. The dead is dead. He has nothing to benefit from Nigeria anymore. The living in Nigeria who has everything to benefit cannot even spend $100 for the benefit of their country. That mentality needs to change. I know Professor PLO Mulumba has talked too much about Nigerians and Africans changing their mentality. But it's like he falls into deaf ear all the time. Bring money that will help develop your democracy. Nobody's going to do that. But bring money to bury who is dead, they will all flood in and give money. Bring money to Soashwebi to do wedding ceremony, they will all flock in there. At the end of the day...
Martin, please land.
Yeah. No, I want to land quickly because this is just the main essence of it.
Yes.
If all of us in this 122 people decide to donate only 100,000 naira, we've gone halfway. But we have to start learning to make sacrifices for the things we want. So on this ground, I am going to take up one local government for 100,000. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much.
And may I also say that as an interim president of the Diaspora Action for Democracy in Africa, we have just donated a 1 million naira to cope them to do sensitization in Anambra and Edo State. Thank you.
Awesome. Well done, Martin. Well done. Please take note. Like I said previously, the whole process has been broken down. You don't have to give us 25 million, but if you do, we'll be grateful. You can equally decide to fund a local government, which is 100,000. Hello? What's happening? Okay.
What's
right.
happening?
Who's sharing their screen? Someone is sharing their screen.
Oh.
All right.
Well, you can stop it from being shared.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's a rampant screen that is being shared, I guess.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Sorry, it's a mistake. I don't know how I did it. I'm sorry. It was an accident.
All right. Okay. So please let's move on. I'm conscious of time. Elder Tango, please let us know how much you're supporting us with as regards the fundraising event. Elder Tango.
Good morning.
Hello.
Are you hearing me? I'm Tango speaking.
Yes, we can hear you clearly, sir.
Thank you. I will contribute, but not now.
Okay.
Within the week, listen to me. Hear me well. I will contribute.
Hello.
I'm here on the program. When it starts, I have a question for Van, and if Excellency is around, I have a question for him too, for the interest of our democracy too.
Okay.
I will donate. Remind me tomorrow. So I will donate. Forward me the account.
Okay. Okay.
Whatever I add, it's okay.
Okay, Kevin, please forward the account to Elder Tango Gochupu, please. Meanwhile, you may have the opportunity to speak or ask a question later on. Yes.
Yeah. Good evening, House.
Yes, please mute yourself now. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, House.
Sorry, Ambassador Enobong, 1 minute, please. 1 minute,
Yes.
Ambassador. 1 minute, please.
All right.
Let's coordinate this in an orderly form. Prince Rampam, did you raise your hand up?
Okay, yes, sir. Sorry, I just wanted to add a little bit to what Martin said, then make a small donation at the end, if I'm permitted to share some of the things we're doing in COPDEM that we want to further. Is it possible, sir?
Yes, please go ahead and share any information that people would help to get them to know what we're doing. That'll be helpful. All right, moving forward, please. I'm conscious of time, as always. Ambassador Enobong, Inyang, please unmute now and speak.
Okay. Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. It's my pleasure to have listened to all the panelists, especially the professor who took time to enlighten us, and also kind of giving an extra of what really happened or transpired or the experience we have in the 2023 election and the way forward. Well, I am Ambassador Anambra Inyang. I'm calling from Oborokara local government in Akwa Ibom State. And of course, I'm the candidate of the Labour Party in the ongoing local government election in Akwa Ibom. Our election is on October 5th. And in the entire Akwa Ibom, Labour Party had only 2 candidates, myself and Mr. Sang. In Eket, we are only 2 chairmanship candidates. And we have 31 local government area. So I won't come and play.
Ambassador,
I won't come and lay.
Ambassador,
Yes?
sorry to interject. My sincere apologies, please. Please note, first of all, that this grouping is not a Labour Party grouping. We hope them is apolitical. You understand? And whilst it will be interesting to hear what's going on in your local government, in your state, this current segment, as it were, is purely for fundraising. If you have something in mind that you want to share with COBDEM later on, then we can provide a different platform for that. But for the time being, we need to move forward, please. If you don't mind, apologies.
Okay. I want to contribute. I want to contribute anywhere.
Yes.
First of all, I was invited to the meeting. My name, there's an invitation sent to me with my name written on it. And it was sent to me 3 days ago that I should attend the meeting. And the link and everything was provided, which I also took time to listen to all the discussion on the platform. First, I am having an election at hand, and I want to seek for the support of Govt. Please, they should support our own. Our election is on October 5th, and every necessary support the organization will give to us will be highly appreciated.
Ambassador Yang, please, with due respect, are you from Akwa Ibom or Cross River? Which of the 2?
Akwa Ibom State.
Okay, please, could you contact the COBDEM chairman in Akwa Ibom, please, and make your plea. Okay, this particular forum is not designed for soliciting for support for COBDEM. We have a process. Please do contact your chairman, the COBDEM chairman in your state, and then and speak to them about that. Okay. So you said you were going to support financially. Do you want to make a pronouncement?
Okay, like I said, my financial support, an appeal, like I wanted to say, I need an appeal. I was putting an appeal across to members of Govt at the national and international to beam the flashlight to the grassroots, which is the local government. And we are the candidates, we are the people that the Govt, which is a democratic supporting organization.
Okay,
Ambassador Anambra, your item came up on item 2. And during item 2, people were being called upon to speak up as local government candidates, but you were not here. So we have passed that item 2 now. You can still speak with Mr. Abonifo later on.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, we still have the pitching after the fundraising, so that will be an opportunity for us to tell us who you are a bit more in details, but not during the fundraising, sir. Ambassador, you're welcome. Right. Just wait after the fundraising, we have the pitching.
All right, understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, Isang Udo Akara, it's your turn, please, to unmute yourself. Isang. And then while you're muting yourself, I would also get Commodore or Comrade Nelson to get ready. Isang Udo. Ambassador Akara, are you there? Eric Davo. Eric Davo, please unmute yourself.
Okay. I'm here.
Yes. What would you support COBDEM with as regards the promotion of democracy at the grassroots level?
Okay.
The 25 million naira project of vote right. What have you got to give us?
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And as you know, I'm also contesting for chairmanship just south.
Okay.
And there have been a lot involved in this. So I would rather support with the sum of 50,000 naira.
Wow.
Yes.
This is awesome. Thank you so much, Eric. That is great.
Yeah.
So much appreciate you. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best. We hope that you're successful in your bid.
$2,000.
Please, Oliver Ezeke, please mute yourself. Actually, you are the next person to talk to us. So please unmute and tell us if you're going to give us $2,000. Please confirm that. Eric Ezeke, please unmute yourself and speak now. It's your turn. Oliver, please. Oh, not Eric. Oliver Ezeke. Oliver, unmute yourself, sir. Right, okay. Chukwuka Obidima Okafor, please unmute yourself and tell us how much you're supporting us with. Chukwuka Okafor. Right, okay. While we're waiting for Chukwuma to unmute, please, Kevin, ensure that people are able to unmute themselves independently. Extremely important, please. Okay, Ifemba Orumba. Oh, sorry, Chukwuka, please go ahead. You've unmuted. Go ahead, please speak to us. Chukwuka Okafor. Chukwuka Okafor, please unmute yourself once again. And Oliver, we're still waiting for you to say something. We thought you were giving us $2,000, and then please just confirm that so we can have your name written down. And thank you so much for such a wonderful contribution as well. Ifemba Orumba, please unmute. Take the mic. Ifemba, are you there? Okay. Ifemba, are you there? Are you with us? Okay. We seem to. All right. Okay. Chinedu Ogwejiofor. Chinedu, please unmute yourself. And while you're unmuting yourself, I'll call upon Del Kene.
I'm here now.
Yes. Oh, Ifemba, sorry, there 1 minute. Ifemba, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think
you seem to be struggling to unmute yourself.
The item now is purely fundraising and nothing more.
That's correct. That's right. Yes, fundraising.
Okay, let me take one local government.
Oh, bravo. Thank you so much. Kevin, please take note of that. Ifemba Orumba, one local government. Okay, right. Chukwuka Okafor. Chinedu Ogwejiofor, do you want to unmute and speak to us? Del Kene, sorry, you are.
Well, not Del, it's Kene Erike, 200,000.
Oh, wow, awesome. Del Kene, 200,000. Kevin?
Kene Erike.
Kene Erike.
Yes.
Thank you. Kene Erike, thank you so much. Thank you. Well noted. Dr. Danjuma Saleh, you want to speak to us? Dr. Danjuma, while you are muting, getting ready, I will call upon Andrew Ayas.
Hello.
Oh, Dr. Danjuma,
hello, good evening.
Go ahead. Hello.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening, colleagues. Ayas, please. Ayas, 1 moment, please. Let Dr. Danjuma speak to us. Go on, Dr. Danjuma.
Okay. Sorry, I joined very late. I just joined during the fundraising.
Okay.
I'm the chairman for Kaduna State.
Okay.
So I'm going to donate 50,000 naira.
Wow. Awesome. Oh my God, that is beautiful. Thank you so much. That is beautiful. Well done. Well done. Much appreciated for coming in, jumping in, and then making it happen. All right, Ayas, Andrew Ayas. Please take
good evening, colleagues.
Hello.
Good evening, colleagues. Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening, sir. We're listening.
Yeah, calling right away from Zamfara State.
Okay.
Yes.